All right, let's share the results. So we have most of you who have never attended one of my web classes before for tinnitus relief, and I'm glad to have you here. And then some of you have either attended a web class or taken advantage of a one-on-one consultation with one of our. Let's share the results. With one of our experts from Treble Health. So that's fantastic. All right. Next question here. How long have you had bothersome tinnitus? Less than 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 1 to 3 years, or more than 3 years. Fortunately, no matter how long you've had tinnitus, there are ways that we can work on tips, management techniques, strategies to promote a positive change, because tinnitus is not a permanent thing. It's not a permanent set in stone level for a vast majority of patients. And that's one of the things that I've learned over the years. All right. Let's see the results here. So as you can see on the screen, that most of us here have had tinnitus for more than 3 years. And additionally, we have individuals who have had tinnitus for less than 6 months, for 6 to 12 months, as well as between 1 and 3 years. So as I said earlier, all types of tinnitus, and no matter how long you've had bothersome tinnitus, there are things we can do for it, and that's what we're here to discuss tonight. All right, very good. So if I don't know you already, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Ben Thompson, audiologist, and I started an online telehealth practice specifically for tinnitus. So that's what we'll discuss today, as well as the strategies to improve tinnitus for the day and the night. This will include expert strategies that I've learned over the years through different case studies, different patients who, quite honestly, were having a hard time with tinnitus, but after implementing certain strategies, found relief. And that's the message that we need to share, the message of hope that there is something you can do for tinnitus. So tonight's web class here, we'll cover spring into relief, strategies to improve tinnitus day and night, and how you could get relief from tinnitus in less than 90 days. I was trained at UCSF Health in San Francisco. That's a major hospital, one of the top 10 hospitals in the country. And Treble Health is the name of the online telehealth practice that I am the founder of, and that I'm very passionate because we focus 100% on tinnitus. I am joined tonight also by Dr. Ramsey Poindexter, who's going to be here in the chat. So if you have questions for us, you can answer them in the Q&A. Like I see Lonnie had just asked, still having a problem sleeping throughout the night, and we can go ahead and answer those questions. We will have a live Q&A session in the middle of this, so I'll be able to answer specific questions. During the presentation, we'll have Dr. Ramsey, who you can see on the screen right now, or myself, who will be answering the questions. So Dr. Ramsey, thanks for being here. Dr. Ramsey is also an audiologist with Treble Health, focusing on tinnitus. All right, now that we've gotten that underway, by the end of this web class, you will learn 6 expert strategies to help you get relief from tinnitus during the day and at night. Let me know in the chat, are you having more trouble during the day with concentration, with anxiety or stress? Or are you having more trouble with falling asleep or staying asleep because of tinnitus? What we see is that most people struggle during the day, and it's about 50-50 whether someone has trouble at night. Regardless, we'll cover strategies that will be able to help you here tonight. And for those of you who may be watching this live on YouTube, Dr. Ramsey here, if you head over to YouTube under the live stream, then you'll be able to see any live questions that are coming in from YouTube viewers. So we'll be able to answer them as well. So I see Paul here, who says he's having a lot of trouble during the day and some trouble at night. And then we see Sarah, Susan, who say both day and night. Cheryl says at night and then sometimes during the days. Nikki says in the morning when she wakes up, it's worse. So as we can see here, that there's not one size fits all here for tinnitus, how it affects us in different ways. Therefore, we need to find strategies and tips and techniques that can be customized to your situation. Okay, guys, so there's 58 of us, and I'm asking all of you, if you have an hour of your time here, stay until the end, because we will also give in a follow-up email for those who stay around until the end, the access to our tinnitus guide. This is a 20-page ebook, something that you can come back and reference, and it gives helpful tips like the proper diagnosis and medical evaluation of tinnitus, the exact timeline of what to expect in your management process, different tinnitus treatment options, and the newest research that is available for 2023. And in about 20 minutes, I'll have a live Q&A session where Dr. Ramsey will help by providing some of the most commonly asked questions here in the chat, as well as in the Q&A. So I ask, if you have a specific question for me, you can ask it in the Q&A, and I'll be very glad to respond. Topics we'll cover: intro to the 6 expert strategies. I want to define what is recovery for tinnitus. I will explain the 3 expert strategies to help during the day, as well as those 3 expert strategies to help at night, falling asleep or staying asleep. Additionally, I have new treatment data from Treble Health, which is exciting to get some updates on the newest information and newest data of, hey, how are people who have used these methods, how are they doing? How is their tinnitus? As we get started here, I want to make sure that you've been medically evaluated by an ENT doctor. Know that improving tinnitus and working on your tinnitus does not happen overnight. It is a slow and gradual process. However, it does work. So because of this, it does not happen quickly. Just know that this process takes time. You can experience relief in a rather short period of time, but to reach your goal, it will take weeks to months, okay? We hope to provide some level of relief here, but for most people, it takes more than 90 days to reach their end goal. That's what we see. So set those proper expectations and move forward with them. And with any medical condition, with any symptom or any treatment, there's not 100% success rate in the course of treatment. So we're going to do everything possible that we can, but we can't guarantee a result. Who is Treble Health? Again, this is a online telehealth practice that I started. We're a specialty clinic for tinnitus. Our goal is to help you or anyone struggling with tinnitus to live a full and productive life. There are approximately 25 million Americans with bothersome tinnitus, but few receive best practice care. So we believe, our team believes, that's unacceptable, and our goal is to change that. And we're in the process of doing that. In 2022, last year, we helped over 3,000 individuals manage their tinnitus. Today, most doctors may tell you, you'll just have to learn to live with tinnitus. Sorry, there's no cure. There's nothing I can do for you. Just try to forget about it. You could try hearing aids, or there's nothing you can do for tinnitus. While there is no medication or surgery in 99% of cases, there's absolutely something you can do for tinnitus, tangible things that can help, and we'll talk about them today. I see the chat is very active, so that's great. We see Dr. Ramsey here jumping in. So I want you guys to think, what kind of information am I really looking for? You can ask myself, or you can ask Dr. Ramsey, and we'll help you. That's why we're here. So let's meet Randy. Is it possible to get better with tinnitus? The short answer is yes. And Randy is an example of someone who did. His story, we want to bring this up so that we can showcase an example of a tinnitus success story, because hope is like oxygen for the tinnitus community. Randy's an airplane pilot that had a milder case of tinnitus for about 15 years. And then in March 2022, it spiked to a constant 8 out of 10 volume tinnitus in both ears. He couldn't sleep because of the sound, and he went to his doctor, who prescribed him anti-anxiety and then sleep medication. He didn't really have any trouble with hearing or hearing loss. It was just tinnitus, and he had never tried any tinnitus treatment before this happened. He came to us after a few months of trying to do this on his own, where he just went to multiple doctors, hit a roadblock, wasn't provided solutions, found our team and worked with us at Treble Health online over telehealth. He came to us when tinnitus was a very big problem. Out of a 0 to 100 scale, it scored an 87. He used the day and night strategies that we're discussing today, as he was having a lot of difficulty during the day and at night. Over a 5-month period of hard work, consistent practice, using medical devices, putting the strategies we'll talk about into practice, his tinnitus went from a very big problem to not a problem. That's from an 87 out of 100, eventually to a 3 out of 100. So we can see between March and June of last year, it dropped from an 87 to a 20. And from March to August, he went from having constant noise, 8 out of 10 volume in both ears, to having moments of quiet, not noticing the tinnitus at all. So for anyone who tells us that there's nothing you can do for tinnitus, clearly they're mistaken. I'm not saying this was easy. I'm not saying this happened fast. But the changes that occurred for Randy showcase the power of brain plasticity and how tinnitus is not set in stone. It's something that can get better. Always want to start with that kind of message of hope, because maybe this is the first time you've been shown a clear path for things you can try. And that's what we'll talk about tonight. The 3 most common causes of tinnitus, they are cochlear, which means the hearing organ, the cochlea. This is inner ear. And you could say this is progressive hearing loss or even a sudden hearing loss. All right. That's a common cause of tinnitus. Another is stress induced. This is called central or stress induced tinnitus. A third is somatosensory or somatic tinnitus. So physical issues like the neck, the jaw, TMJ, posture. These kinds of things can be related to somatic tinnitus. So there's many different causes, but these ones are often the cause. And a specialist like myself or a well-trained audiologist who works with you and understands your history and can recommend solutions and treatments should do so based on the cause of your tinnitus. We want to treat the condition based on the cause. So that targeted treatment makes a big difference in the outcomes. Tinnitus is not one size fits all. Different treatments are more effective when we understand the cause and can recommend or refer to the correct medical doctor or the correct audiologist that can work with you. Regardless of the cause, we know that tinnitus is not only from the ear, but tinnitus often is coming from the brain. Now, don't freak out. I know it sounds scary to hear tinnitus is in my brain because I don't know how to control it. I don't really know what to do with that. But that's what we'll give tips and techniques on here today and tonight. The main takeaway here is that most of you have a high-pitched tinnitus because the high-pitched cells of the ear aren't hearing what they used to. I'm not here to say that the only cause of tinnitus is the ears and hearing, but there is a direct relationship, and the sound of your tinnitus is often linked to certain cells in your hearing organ that aren't functioning the way they used to. And maybe you've heard that. Let me know in the chat. Have you heard that from a previous doctor of, oh yeah, they told me that my tinnitus was caused by hearing loss? Well, that could be part of the story, and it usually is, but it's not always everything. And we need to look at it from a more holistic perspective to understand what to do next. Here's another image that showcases how different regions of the brain are activated when we have bothersome tinnitus. It's not only the auditory centers of the brain. The significance here is freeing. It gives us some freedom because I know when I'm working with a patient and that patient can systematically reduce the activity in these parts of the brain through different techniques, through medical devices, through things we'll talk about tonight, that as an effect, the impact of tinnitus, the intensity of tinnitus, and often the loudness goes down over time. So I think this is a beautiful thing because it shows us that none of these areas of the brain are set in stone. The brain can change. Research has shown neuroplasticity. The brain is plastic. The brain can adapt. So that's our job, is to reverse engineer this system to understand, okay, we have this auditory part of the brain. We can work on that. We have tools for that. We have this attention part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. We can work on that as well with how we control our attention and our reactions. Then we have the emotional centers of the brain, which process the fight or flight response, which process our reaction of negative reactions to the sound, thoughts, emotions. And then we have the body, how the body is responding. Is the body tight and tense? Is my breathing shallow? Am I on edge? So all of these areas of the brain correspond to those practical, real world situations. And our job of helping you, or your job of making progress with tinnitus, is to understand how to reverse engineer these systems and have positive inputs into them. And if you do that consistently over time, we've seen, just like Randy's story earlier, that tinnitus can change and it can shift for the positive. And that means we can live a full and productive life, and we're less bothered by the sound. I see the chat very active. So Dr. Ramsey's in there. Love it. And Nancy just gave me a shout out. Thanks for the shout out, Nancy. Glad to be here and to give this information. For those of you who joined a little late, please do leave a comment here in the chat or leave a comment live on YouTube. And we're going to respond to those here on the web class. Stick around until the end. We have a live Q&A session. We're also giving a free copy of our ebook to anyone who is here on the web class via email at the end. Okay. Really, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this web class, it's that regardless of what treatment you've come across or what solution you've been shown works, I want to simplify this for you. I've reviewed a lot of research about tinnitus. I'm familiar with all of the approaches, all of the protocols to follow, and the fundamentals that work are personalized coaching and sound therapy. So if you were to ask, well, Dr. Ben, what can I do for my tinnitus? I just want to know, what can I do? Right? This is the message I want you to leave with tonight. And if there's one thing you can take away, this is it. This is the foundational treatment. You might hear about alternative experiments. You might hear about new research. You might hear about something obscure on the internet, or something that is an alternative medicine approach to tinnitus. And that can have a place, but I really believe it's in your best interest to understand the foundational treatment that works every day in the clinic or in the telehealth space for those of us that are actually helping patients with tinnitus all the time. And the personalized coaching piece of this means that you're connected with a tinnitus specialist who can get your brain network, who can get your system out of the negative cycle of tinnitus. So let's go through a situation that you notice tinnitus. Okay, I hear the tinnitus, or there it is. I start to wonder, what does this mean? Does this mean I'm losing my hearing? Will this ever go away? Is there anything I can do about this? Does this mean I have something serious in my ear or in my head or in my brain? That creates fear. Well, that fear triggers or creates activity in what's called the limbic system, which is the emotional center of the brain. And that leads to feelings of anxiety and worry, which increases physical and mental stress, which stress increases the awareness of tinnitus. And then we're just continuing on in this cycle. So I know many of you have gone through this. This is tough. I'm not saying this is easy to get out of, but I'm saying this is in your best interest to learn how to get out of. And this is something that you will use until you reach relief from tinnitus. So having personalized coaching, an expert who's trained in these methods of how to get you out of those mental reactions and behavior changes, that is what personalized coaching comes down to. It helps. I just want you to know that whatever option of tinnitus treatment or tinnitus care you've seen, personalized coaching is something to use. Okay. The other piece of this is sound therapy. So I want to ask if anyone has tried sound therapy before. So I know that most of you have not really tried sound therapy before. But I want to ask a poll right now. Have you ever used sound therapy? This includes white noise, pink noise, cricket sounds, natural water sounds. At the very basic level, if you're using any of that through your smartphone, through headphones, through a sound machine, through tinnitus maskers, through hearing aids, through bone conduction, if you've used that before in any way, let me know here in the responses. All right, so I ended the poll there. Most of you got a chance to answer. We can see that 76% of you have used some form of sound therapy before, which is good. And hopefully you've come across this or researched how this is an effective tool to help reduce tinnitus. Okay, so what sound therapy does is it gets into that hyperactive auditory part of the brain, what's called the auditory cortex, and it can help retrain or rewire that system. Sound therapy mixes in with the auditory tinnitus in a way that's quite helpful. It helps. So let's just take it like this. Let's say your tinnitus is a 5 out of 10 loudness, and you're using a sound machine that you got online, or maybe your smartphone for right now, and that's at your desk, at your table, when you're indoors in a quiet place. So it's not recommended to be in quiet places when you're trying to reduce tinnitus and you're following a treatment program, okay? So if you use sound therapy, then you're going to play that sound so both ears can hear it. And your tinnitus, like I said, is a 5 out of 10. You'll want to bring that sound therapy to maybe a 3 out of 10, a 4 out of 10, something that's lower than your tinnitus, but definitely audible. You can still hear it. And then let that play for many hours during the day. You'll notice that your brain shifts the concentration from tinnitus into more of a background sound, because that's exactly what we want to train the brain over time to do, to categorize tinnitus as a background neutral sound, not as something that puts us in a negative emotional state, something we want to pay attention to, something we don't understand, something we have fear about, something that's dominating our thoughts or our mental state of being. So that's a quick intro to how sound therapy can be used. And we use sound therapy with almost every single patient at Treble Health in our telehealth practice. And there's different ways to do it. The best way to do it would be with devices that go in your ears, up and behind your ears. Those are called tinnitus maskers. Those stay with your body as you move, as you live your day. And then you have sound therapy. You're following that protocol for many hours of the day. But like I said, you can also use other things like a phone or a sound machine to get part of the way there with the treatment. Okay, the reason I wanted to stress this is because we're going to talk about these 6 expert strategies, but they're really layers on top of the foundational treatment. So before you try fancy things, before you try experimental things, before you try alternative things for tinnitus, make sure you have the foundational treatment that I just laid out here, because for a vast majority of you, this is what moves the needle for your tinnitus the most. It's worth noting that our team at Treble Health, we perform these services. There's no, the reason that I can talk about this with such confidence is because we see hundreds of people every month using these methods. We have data to show that it works. And I personally have used these for years, been trained by some of the best mentors in the country, in the United States, about tinnitus. So that's why I'm speaking about this today. Let's define what recovery for tinnitus means. So we use this term called habituation. It means that your brain can reduce the perception of tinnitus over time, and that leads to relief. Here are some examples of this natural process where your brain shifts the perception of sound over time. The sound of your refrigerator humming. It was noticeable when you first turn your refrigerator on or when you first walk into your kitchen, but over time, your brain learns that it doesn't need to pay attention to it. So you rarely ever think about it, even though the sound is there. Second piece, your own breathing. Take a breath in and out. A normal breath in a quiet room. When we focus on it, I realize I can hear it, but every other minute of the day, I'm not aware of it. So the brain is showing us that it can reduce the perception of certain sounds. Another example is an electrical line next to your apartment. So if you live in an apartment and there's an electrical line next to your window, when you first move in there, you'll notice that line and maybe you'll be a bit, hyper aware of it. But after some time, you don't hear that sound anymore, only when guests come and they talk about it. Similar thing to if you live next to a busy road or you live close to a train. Okay. So I'm saying this because the brain has the ability to reduce the perception of sound, and the same process can be induced with tinnitus. This process is called habituation, and these are the 4 stages of tinnitus relief leading to habituation. So stage 1 is when there's the highest awareness and annoyance of tinnitus, frequent worrying and anxiety. Our everyday activities are hard to do. It's often accompanied by loss of sleep, sometimes loss of appetite. Stage 2 of habituation, things start to get a little better. There's periods of time where tinnitus is forgotten or reduced in volume. We can start to do some of our everyday activities. We're still really struggling. Sleep begins to improve. There's more acceptance and less annoyance. Stage 3, there's even longer periods of time where tinnitus isn't noticed and it doesn't cause as much emotional distress, shorter, less frequent spikes. And then stage 4, tinnitus is rarely noticed. You can quickly redirect your attention away from it. There's full emotional acceptance, no longer eliciting negative feelings or thoughts. So we have a poll here to ask, what stage of habituation are you in? And remember, stage 1 is essentially the worst stage of tinnitus. Stage 4 is, I don't have a problem with this anymore. All right, so let me share the poll here. And if you could enter this live on Zoom, we'll be able to share the results and see where everyone is tonight. Try to answer this question of, in the last week, what stage am I in? All right, we've got 50 responses, so I'm going to stop the poll here and share the results. We can see that most of us are in stage 2, and then a significant amount of us are either in stage 1 or stage 3. Stage 2, struggling but coping and feeling a little better than I used to. Stage 3, I'm more comfortable than I used to, and I'm doing okay, but still looking for tools and help. Stage 1, I'm pretty new to this, or I'm really struggling in this, or I've had a period recently where I need a lot of help. Stage 4, fully habituated. All right, so let's continue on. Guys, thanks for engaging here, and thanks for being active in this web class. I can see the chat is very active as well. So Dr. Ramsey here with Treble Health is responding to everything that she can. If you have a specific question for me, please leave it in the Q&A section, and we'll try to answer those shortly. I know Dr. Ramsey is also answering them as well. I want to stress again, with a targeted treatment, you can induce habituation so that it happens faster and more easily. People often struggle to habituate on their own. What I've found is that expert guidance and a concrete plan, a roadmap, makes it much more manageable. Sound therapy, personalized coaching, they really help. And if you're looking for things you can do, I would put most of my chips in that basket because that is what works the most. Of course, we'll consider anything that can help, and that's our job. All right, 6 expert strategies for tinnitus relief day and night. We added a nice image of a sun here to represent during the day. Strategy number 1, perform 1 simple relaxation exercise per day to calm your nervous system. You can't force this process of tinnitus relief. You have to move gradually, consistently, and put effort in. Okay, so all I'm asking here is to do 1 simple relaxation exercise per day. Stress reduction can come in many forms: deep breathing, stretching, walking. Here's a list of relaxation strategies. I would like for you to pull from this list and to do at least 1 of these per day. It can be for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be for long. But what we found is that it can settle the mind, settle those hyperactive regions of the brain that are a big part of sustained loudness of tinnitus. And then it can settle the body, settle that nervous system, central nervous system, to have periods of calm and a break from that negative cycle of tinnitus. So really take this seriously. If you need to take a screenshot on your phone or take a picture, and then come back to this and say, what can I do tomorrow? What can I do next week? What can I learn? Or maybe what do I already know that can settle my mind and settle my body on a daily basis? Remember here, these are the 6 expert strategies for relief on top of the foundational treatment. So this is the foundation. Now we're adding the 6 expert strategies on top of it. That's strategy number 1, simple relaxation exercise. We're going to reference some patients here. Some of them might even be on this web class. If you're here watching again, if you're on this class, just let us know so we can feature your story. But we're going to mention some patients who worked with Treble Health who also shared a full interview on our YouTube channel, which has over 5 million views. John is a patient who worked with us, and I interviewed. All these patients have a full extended interview available that any of you can watch on YouTube. John practiced meditation and breathing about 3 times a day. He found that for him, it was very helpful for his tinnitus, and it also helped him with his job. It helped him with his mental health. It helped him just keep his stress to a minimum. So he first started this because he was looking for ways to optimize his tinnitus relief, but then he realized it actually also helped him in other areas of his life, which is an extra bonus. Strategy number 2 is to use sound therapy as a default. Sound enrichment helps you reach stage 4 of habituation. So I want to tell a personal story that I've gone through phases in my life where I live alone, and then I live with roommates or family or girlfriend. And what I've found is that when I have social activity in my home, when I'm living with friends and people that I care about, then when social connectivity is a default, I'm much happier. My mental health is much better. I don't have to try as hard or put effort in to have that social connectivity, because some of it's just as a default there. Whenever I'm home, good people are around me. Now, when I'm living by myself, my default is feeling a little lonely. My default is being by myself and needing to reach out to friends, needing to put effort in to make things happen in terms of my social connectivity. And that's when I get anxious, lonely, and depressed. So this is something that I think is relatable, because we want to do the similar thing for your tinnitus relief, using sound therapy as a default, not just forcing it when you feel like you need it and trying to make it happen and putting effort in, but actually make it a default. So it's always there. So it works for you all the time. You don't have to try as hard. And it's not something that you have to force, but it's something that is there in the background, helping you until you reach that stage 4 of habituation. Here are 2 examples of sound therapy devices. If you had only these devices, that's all you would need. So this is actually my top recommendation for sound therapy devices that can help you. On the left, we have tinnitus maskers. These are Bluetooth enabled sound therapy devices that sit up and behind the ear with a thin wire going alongside the skin. And then they have this rubber tip in the ear canal that has natural holes in it. These devices can be programmed with different kinds of sounds: natural water sounds, pink noise, white noise, cricket sounds, Bluetooth streaming as well. And what that means is we're always able to mix with your tinnitus and provide relief through the sound therapy. So putting these on your ears, living your normal day, and then taking them off when you go to sleep at night, that means you've followed the sound therapy protocol, and the sound therapy is your default. I find that to be the most effective thing, because just like when I have roommates or I'm living with friends or family, I don't have to try to have social connectivity, and that helps my health. Similarly, having these devices in the ears as a default, you're living your life, they're comfortable, they're lightweight, you can still hear everything around you, and you have the sound therapy mixing with your tinnitus. You don't have to put your attention to it. You don't have to rely on a Bluetooth sound to make it work. These things make a difference, and they're very sustainable to get you to stage 4 of habituation. Additionally, we have the sound machine, which is on the right here. This is from a company that makes very high quality sound machines. And you can put this on your bedside table at night. You can put this inside your home during the day. This also has about 20 different tinnitus sound therapy tracks that you can play. Doesn't need Bluetooth, but you could have Bluetooth. So having this on as a default might mean if you have a home office, putting this on in the background and just keeping it on all day. If you're in your living room for a lot of the day, put one of these in your living room and just have it on a low level where it mixes with your tinnitus and it's on for most of the day. That would be an excellent example of how you can use sound therapy as a default. All right, excellent. So if you guys have questions about sound therapy, I know there's lots of questions here. Please let me know. As I saw earlier, most of you had tried sound therapy to some degree, and this is an example of really best practice for sound therapy or our top recommendations. Recent studies from 2020 and 2022 have shown that patients who undergo sound therapy treatment, like what I just laid out, were objectively, when patients went through this treatment, the brain imaging studies objectively showed that those hyperactive regions of the brain came back down to normal levels that were similar to a control group. So this shows that, and this means that using sound therapy to reach stage 4 of habituation and tinnitus relief is not simply something to make you feel better, or it's not simply saying, oh yeah, I still have tinnitus, but I just don't care, I'm okay now. It's not like that. What it's showing is those hyperactive regions in the brain have actually settled back down to normal levels. So we're seeing objective physiological changes through brain imaging, fMRI brain imaging. And this evidence alongside expert case studies and clinical experience really builds this strong recommendation for sound therapy. And as audiologists who specialize in tinnitus, I want you to know that. All right, so now we have an example of some common sounds you can use for sound therapy, as well as different technology to use. Our top rated option is tinnitus maskers, these devices that I showed here on the left side. That's a lot of what we do at Treble Health because we see it to be one of the most effective tools. You can also use the sound machine or smartphone apps, as I've discussed. Martin is a real estate broker, and he likes having pink noise in the tinnitus maskers, and they really helped him reach habituation. His story, for those of you who haven't heard it, is one of hope and encouragement because he was essentially told there wasn't much he could do from his local doctors. He worked with us, and after some months of consistency, the sound therapy and other strategies we're talking about tonight helped him reach habituation. So we wanted to feature his story. When I thought about sound therapy for someone who might be on the fence or skeptical of, I don't know, is that really going to work for me? That's exactly how Martin felt after the treatment. In his interview, you can hear it on YouTube if you like. He says that exact thing. He said, yeah, I was skeptical at first. I wasn't sure it would work, but it did. Okay, Dr. Ramsey, how are you doing? Let's see if we can get any live Q&A here. I'd like to introduce Dr. Ramsey here, and I'd like to also ask, I know you're very active here in the chat, what are some common themes you're seeing from the audience?
I think one of the things that you can address are a lot of people are talking about the ebbs and flows that they're seeing in their tinnitus, and why is that? So, why are people having particularly good days, and then they might have particularly more difficult days with their tinnitus?
Yeah, great question. This is due to the neurological origin of tinnitus. So it's not set in stone. The same reason why your tinnitus can get better after months of treatment is why it can fluctuate from day to day or in the morning until the evening. Some common reasons why tinnitus can fluctuate are stress levels, hormonal levels and changes, these natural cycles in our life. If you get a good night's sleep, for some people, that means you're waking up and the tinnitus isn't as bothersome. We say stress, that's a very general term, but this could be emotional stress. This could be physical stress. Exercising can change people's tinnitus. Whether you've had a tough day can change people's tinnitus. Medication changes can change people's tinnitus. Simply how your body is going through these ebbs and flows during the day can be a factor. Depending on the cause of your tinnitus, if it was related to your neck or jaw, that can have certain ebbs and flows as well. So we have an opportunity to speak with an audiologist from our team. If you were interested in working with us, we'll offer something later to explain that. But that'd be a good situation to work one-on-one and have the personalized coaching to understand why is your tinnitus fluctuating based on your history, and then offer technologies, offer solutions, offer techniques to really understand that and be proactive about how to stabilize the fluctuation.
And then Ben, some other questions just regarding sound therapy. How long do we use sound therapy for? What's the recommendation there? If you want to address that.
Yeah, great question. So typically the recommendation is to use sound therapy until you reach stage 4 of habituation. So for most people, that's over 90 days, right? You're likely to experience relief much sooner than that, but we want to get a result with tinnitus that lasts. Right? We want to go, Dr. Ramsey, I know we've spoken about this personally. With tinnitus treatment, we can have immediate relief through the techniques we're talking about. And we're really going for long-lasting relief, long-lasting results where the baseline level of tinnitus shifts. So how long would you use sound therapy? Well, not for just a few days, not for just a few hours, probably more than just a few weeks. You would use sound therapy until you reach this habituation stage where we can help determine that with you. For most people, this means for a matter of months of making this a default sound therapy setting in your life. Once you reach that stage 4 of habituation, once you're in a place of better relief, your baseline level has really shifted and stabilized, then it's normal and expected to stop using sound therapy and not need it, right? So it's similar to rehabilitation of your knee, where if I have a knee injury and I have a surgery and I get or I go through physical therapy, I'm going through a rehab period where I'm not 100%. I'm using a knee brace, I'm using tools, and then at the end of it, I don't need the knee brace anymore. I can play with my kids or my grandkids. I can be outside. I can walk. I can hike maybe, but I'm not feeling 100% back to where I was, but I'm still living a full and productive life and just being a little cautious in certain situations. So similarly with tinnitus, after sound therapy treatment, you don't need the sound therapy at the end of it. And you might still advise to use earplugs in loud situations. Just be mindful about your health because that keeps your tinnitus in check.
Okay.
I got time for one more here, Ramsey. Do you have one?
And yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that, since we're talking about sound therapy, there were questions about AirPods being used for sound therapy. So perhaps addressing what the proper transducers are that we recommend.
Absolutely, yes. You're using the term transducer. Other people would say, how do I listen to the sound therapy? Should I use headphones? Should I use a speaker? Should I use my computer? Should I use hearing aids? What should I do? The main thing you want to do here is do not block your ears for extended periods of time. It's in your best interest to keep the ear canals naturally open so you can hear the world around you and you're not creating extra silence or a confined listening situation. Occasionally using headphones is okay. That's not going to hurt you. But like I said, this is a multi-month process. We want a treatment that's sustainable. We want an approach that is easy to set it as a default. For example, AirPods are not a good thing for default listening. Number one, they block your ear canals. So automatically, I would say don't rely on them. Number two, it's not sustainable to have it on as a default for many hours during the day. You're having conversations, walking in public with headphones. You get a notification. It goes in through your ears because you're only relying on Bluetooth. For all those reasons, it doesn't really make sense. Medical devices for tinnitus, these two that I laid out earlier, these are designed for tinnitus, which makes a big difference because then you can follow this recommendation of using sound therapy as a default. That makes the world of difference and makes your life a lot easier until you reach the habituation stage. And we want to mention here right now that at Treble Health, we offer a bundle of our service, the one-on-one personalized coaching, plus a combination of the best medical devices, sound therapy devices for tinnitus, including the tinnitus maskers on the left, including the sound machine on the right, and a sleep headband, which we'll go over soon. We offer that as part of our bundle, and we're currently offering that in this Spring into Relief special offer. We'll talk more about that later, but I just wanted to mention that so anyone who's watching live could be updated on that particular treatment option. All right, I'm going to continue on. Let's give Dr. Ramsey a round of applause here for helping out. And there's plenty of questions here in the chat. So guys, keep asking them and Dr. Ramsey will help you out, particularly if you have questions about, working with an audiologist on our team. Just hang around for about 15 minutes. We're going to go over that soon. Strategy number 3. Again, this is during the daytime. Shift your attention and focus to increase neuroplasticity. So remember I said earlier, the prefrontal cortex is that part of the brain that relies on focus, concentration, attention. This strategy is going to work on improving the tinnitus relationship with that part of the brain. So bringing your prefrontal cortex, calming it down a bit. Functionally, this means shifting your attention and focus away from tinnitus onto other things. Think about a candle in a dark room. That's the only light. Your visual system is going to focus on that candle. Anyone would just focus on a candle in a dark room. It's all you can see. But what we can do is we can stimulate more senses that help shift our attention. The obvious one for a candle is to slowly increase the lights. Then we're seeing more of the room around us. We're less focused on the candle. That allows our brain to take the candle out of the front of our mind and put it closer in the background of our mind, which helps our brain over time shift. Now, again, this is a metaphor for tinnitus, because if I'm in a quiet place and all I hear is tinnitus, my brain's going to focus on it. But if I can have other sounds around, if I can use sound therapy, then I'm more easily able to shift my attention from tinnitus and help promote habituation and relief moving forward. So you can use podcasts, you can use radio to help shift your attention during the day. You can use YouTube videos. Some people use my own YouTube videos. That's very kind. You can use sound therapy, like through the tinnitus maskers or through a sound machine. Those are all excellent ways to have this attention and distraction from tinnitus, so you can focus on other things. With the physical sense, with your sense of touch, you can use things like a stress ball. You can move your hands. You can take walks. You're moving your body and just activating movement in your body. This can all shift your attention from tinnitus and make a big difference. Melinda is a patient who used these techniques, and I thought of her because it was more than just the sound therapy, more than just the personalized coaching that helped her shift her tinnitus. She used these kinds of techniques, and now she has days where she doesn't hear the tinnitus at all. And that's a big improvement of from where she started with her bothersome tinnitus. Okay, Excellent. So I know a lot of you said you have trouble in the nighttime, and most of you had trouble in the daytime. So for all of us, just hang around here for these next three strategies. We're now entering what to do, falling asleep, staying asleep. I'm really passionate about this. I sometimes have trouble falling asleep with anxiety or stress. Even last night, my neighbor was making an annoying sound, and I put on sound therapy next to me, and I just calmed myself down. And fortunately, I fell asleep within 30 minutes, but I had my doubts, and I've had periods where it's taken hours to fall asleep. So I know how important this is, and it makes a big difference. Strategy number 4, optimize your sleeping position, the room darkness, and the temperature. In terms of position, just go for something that's the most comfortable for you. For most people, that means side sleeping with your head slightly elevated. Okay. Figure out what that means for you. Just don't be in an uncomfortable position, or don't be in a position that puts stiffness on your neck or your back, for example. In terms of the light or the darkness in your room, ideally complete darkness is preferred. Try to not use blue light screens like your laptop or your phone or a TV right before bed. Try to not read anything, social media, news, YouTube videos. Try to not listen to anything or read anything stimulating before you go to sleep, because your mind can just latch on to that as you're trying to drift off. Finally, temperature. Cooler is better. Research has shown that an ideal range is between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't have to follow that, but again, if you're trying to optimize, which is the whole point of this tip, then I would look at these elements here to see if that can help you fall asleep and stay asleep longer. James is a patient who really struggled with sleep at the beginning of working with us, and after a few months, after putting these practices in place, he's now able to sleep well, and that's so important for him. That's a big difference maker. On top of the sound therapy, on top of the personalized coaching, the brain retraining has worked quite well. And a big part of the functional difference for him is falling asleep. Strategy number 5, this again is for the nighttime, using targeted sound therapy to help fall asleep or stay asleep. Here are examples of the best products that we see for helping our patients. Most patients would just use the two on the left, and that is a sleep headband for tinnitus and a sound machine for tinnitus. The sleep headband on the left is very helpful. You use Bluetooth to play your favorite tinnitus sound therapies, and it can go straight into your ears through very thin speakers that are soft, and you can use them on both ears, even when your ear is against the pillow. Very helpful and should be considered. In the middle, we have that same sound machine that I mentioned earlier that can be used on your bedside table. And on the right, sometimes we recommend a sound pillow, not for most patients, but occasionally that can be helpful as well. It's okay to fully mask your tinnitus at night. Some popular sounds that patients use are listed on the screen here. Your spouse, if you sleep next to your spouse, they may want earplugs because the sounds that are helpful to you might be annoying to them, and that's okay. Just try to get them some good earplugs. And a way around that is to actually use the sleep headband or the sound pillow so that they don't have to even hear anything. Randy is a patient who had a lot of trouble with sleep. As I said earlier, went to a doctor and was prescribed sleep medication, was only sleeping a few hours per night. Maybe some of you can relate here. I know this is common and really affects our community. And Randy was quoted saying, "I've been sleeping through the night with sound therapy." So after time of implementing these strategies and putting them into practice, he was able to improve his sleep, improve his mental health, improve his tinnitus. Focusing on the daytime, focusing on the nighttime was a big part of it. All right, strategy number 6, listening to guided sleep audio to fall asleep faster. You can access the benefits of what's called progressive muscle relaxation, where a good guided sleep audio track will guide you through that. I personally like the Honest Guys. It's a YouTube channel where they have 30-minute or 60-minute guided sleep audio. You can also listen to this through Spotify or however you listen to music. And you can just search that on YouTube and save that so that when you're feeling like your mind's really active and the tinnitus is really bothering you, put that in your ears, and then basically gives your mind something to think about that's positive, that's calming, it's soothing, and you can slowly relax your mind, relax your body, and it's been shown to help fall asleep and stay asleep. At night, you can also consider something called yoga nidra, which is very similar. You can search that on YouTube to find some examples. It's okay to use headphones, earbuds, or a sleep headband when you're falling asleep with tinnitus. We have some protocols for sound therapy levels during the daytime. We don't want to completely cover or mask the tinnitus during the daytime. But at nighttime, it's basically anything that can help you fall asleep. Patty is a patient that I worked with about a year ago. And she said that she listened to guided breathing meditations from her iPad, and that really helped her fall asleep. She has an amazing success story about tinnitus that I won't go into. There is a full podcast interview about how she isn't really bothered by tinnitus at all after having a period of severe tinnitus and being really affected by it. Okay, so Dr. Ramsey and I have been here showing you a lot of options of things you can do. Now we want to transition into personalizing it for you. What is our goal here? If you're watching this, if you like this, web class, I want to hear from you. How valuable are you finding tonight's web class? Between 1 star and 5 star, love to hear your feedback. We are always optimizing and improving our web class and trying to figure out what we can do. So as we're collecting the responses, I'll wait until there's about 40 and we're about 10 away. All right, very good. Thank you guys. Amazing. So as we can see here that most of you found this very valuable or extremely valuable, and we thank you, Dr. Ramsey, bless you. And we thank you for,
sorry.
Thank you for being here. Okay, guys, so our goal is to help you get relief from tinnitus as quickly as possible. We laid out these methods tonight, and through our own study, over 69% of patients who follow these methods were able to find relief in less than 3 months. Many even see relief or improvements within the first few weeks because between the sound therapy and getting out of the negative cycles of tinnitus, the results can show improvements fairly quickly. Remember to come back to this foundational treatment. This is what works. This is what is a bulk of what moves the needle for tinnitus relief. So take this seriously, do the best you possibly can in these areas. And we want to help you either through information here tonight or through being able to work with you with Treble Health. Remember the 4 stages of habituation. If you're in stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3, the goal is to get to stage 4. And there are solutions, protocols, treatments that we follow that are designed to get you there. It's hard to get there on your own. Doing this on your own is not easy. So we want to help you with that. How many of you would be interested in learning about the newest data from our tinnitus program, individuals who have worked with Treble Health and use these methods? If you can just write in the chat, yes, then I'll know that I can continue on to the next section here. I see Kim, Ryan, Steve, Liz, Paul, Joni, Cheryl, and many others who say yes. So thank you guys for that. And I'll be happy to show you what's next. This is data from our research. There were 176 patients who we measured the tinnitus functional index. This is the questionnaire, the best practice way to measure tinnitus from 0 to 100. We measured this at the beginning of working with us and then 3 months later. So people just like you who have severe levels of tinnitus, moderate levels of tinnitus, who are in stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3 of habituation, who reached out for help. In those 3 months, the average reduction in the score was 21.5 points, which is about twice as good as the clinically significant threshold. So for anyone who really understands this, what this means is in 3 months, the average improvement was very good. And that's something that shows the methods we talked about tonight do work. In terms of the raw number of people who had a clinically significant improvement and shift within 3 months, within 90 days, it was 69%. So over 2/3 of individuals showed that improvement. Now, if your doctor has ever said there's nothing you can do about tinnitus, it's simply not true. Our program works and we want to help. It's also worth noting that 3 months is not the full timeline here, that for many patients with tinnitus, this is an ultra marathon. This is a longer term process, but a lot of the tools and a big part of the program occurs in the first few months when you're learning the techniques, and then eventually you get to a point where you self-manage this, and the results just continue to get better and better over time until you reach stage 4 of habituation. What we do at Treble Health is we use ear level masking devices for sound therapy, personalized coaching with cognitive behavioral techniques. We provide targeted treatments relative to the cause of your tinnitus that improve sleep, anxiety, sound sensitivity, and overall quality of life with tinnitus. Randy, who I mentioned earlier, was quoted to say that Treble Health gave him hope when other doctors couldn't. His doctor told him that there was no cure and gave him some pills, but what we were able to provide at Treble Health is expert counseling and therapy. Our methods provided great relief and gave him back his life. Mark is stated to say that in a fairly short amount of time, when other doctors couldn't, Treble Health helped him enormously. 2 months after working with us, his anxiety was nearly gone. He's sleeping well. Tinnitus maskers, what I had discussed earlier, the sound therapy devices, we can see that Bubba and Steve here were very much in support of them. Bubba says that Treble Health has done wonders for him. Within 3 months, I basically habituated. I love my maskers. Steve says, I wore the Treble maskers 12 hours a day. His tinnitus was a 5 or a 6 volume. Now it's just a 1 or a 2. So with that said, write yes in the chat if you'd like to learn more about our special offer for the Spring into Relief web class tonight. All you have to do is write yes, and then I'll continue on. We prepared something special for everyone who's here. I see Kevin, Darlene, Ryan, Dennis, Liz, Novellis, Melinda, and others who say yes. So thank you guys. I'm going to continue on. Again, Dr. Ramsey, myself, other audiologists on our team at Treble Health, we asked, what is everything you need to help you get better as quickly as possible? And we put that all together in a special offer. The first part of this offer is a pair of the Treble tinnitus maskers. In our opinion, this is the best tool for tinnitus habituation. These devices are Bluetooth enabled, rechargeable, state-of-the-art medical devices for tinnitus. And you have this thin wire that goes alongside the ear, and then this rubber tip that goes inside the ear canals. It has natural holes in it. This provides the sound therapy relief. There's also an option for us to turn on a hearing aid function, which means that if you have a mild hearing loss or if you have a high-pitched loss of hearing that a hearing test had shown, then we're able to play some extra amplification of sounds, and that could give you an extra boost or sense of relief from your tinnitus simply by turning on that feature. So anything that's going to help your tinnitus, we want to try that for you. And we found that these devices are the most helpful tool of any. They help your brain habituate naturally, which is the goal. Additionally, we have 6 bonuses here, and I want to go over the first bonus. It's the Tinnitus Sleep Headband. Again, this presents those soothing sounds to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. It's comfortable, and you can connect to Bluetooth to have those sounds coming from your favorite Bluetooth sound streaming source. Bonus number 2 is this Sound Oasis sound machine. This is our top-rated sound machine for tinnitus. You can use it during the day or at night, like I said earlier, and it helps distract your ears and your brain to promote that tinnitus relief, that habituation. Bonus number 3 is 5 private video visits with one of our expert audiologists. We work 100% with tinnitus patients. That's our focus. And every month we see over 300 new cases. So collaboratively, we can really handle anything that is bothering you. And we have worked with many other patients to get them results like we want to do with you. Bonus number 4, 6 group coaching sessions every 2 weeks. My audiology team and I, we join all of our community who are working with us, and we have a group coaching session. We go into a Zoom room where we can see all of our faces and engage, and we have different breakout rooms where you can be around your peers who are in a similar position. We find these very beneficial, and included here, you get 3 months of this access. Bonus number 5 is priority email and text. You have a direct line of communication with your audiologist. We found this to be helpful because when you have a question about if the change of your tinnitus or if the change of something you're experiencing is going to affect your health, we want to answer that as quickly as possible. So we're able to provide responses via text or email within a business day. And there's 3 months of the priority email and text included. Bonus number 6, yes, this is me sitting in a park in San Francisco, asking my friend to take a picture of me as I was doing a guided breathing and relaxation. This is the guided breathing and relaxation course. It's a 7-day course of these guided meditations to release your mind from focusing on tinnitus. Everything here on the screen, as I said earlier, this is the best bundle of medical devices, of technologies, of expert care and other bonuses that help our patients in our community succeed. So you can see the total value here is $34.50. And for tonight, we're able to offer it for first only a deposit of $300 to claim this offer. And then from there, $196 per month over a 12-month period. That's 0 interest payments on a monthly plan. So normally this would be $34.50, but today's offer, when it's all said and done, after the deposit, after the monthly payments for 12 months, it comes out to $26.50. That's a savings of $800 off. You may be asking, well, how do I know if it's going to work? We have in place a 45-day money-back guarantee. For any reason, should you want to return this, you would get all of your money back after working with us during this 45-day period. It is noteworthy that 82% of patients who start this and work with us end up keeping the devices, keeping the services, staying with us because they know that this is working. So the point here is there is this money back guarantee period. That's for you. We want to give you every reason to say yes, so you have nothing to lose for trying this with us. Okay, so if you're interested and you live in the United States, this is how it works. I'm going to show on the next slide here a way for you to reserve this now for $300 for tonight. We are offering this particular promotion, this particular offer, which will end tonight. So how it works is you would make this deposit, reserve your spot for $300. That's fully refundable. Tomorrow, you're going to speak with one of our audiologists. So right after you confirm, you'll be prompted to the next page on our website, which allows you to schedule a time to have a call or a video call with one of our audiologists to speak with you tomorrow. Once we confirm the order and confirm everything's good and we speak with you, then we're sending all of these devices and we're getting you started. We're sending the physical devices to your house and they'll arrive within 5 to 7 days. From there, you'll have those 12 monthly payments for $196 per payment. And that's how you can claim the offer. Specifically, where do you go to get this started? Go to treblehealth.com/offer. And Dr. Ramsey, if you can put the full link, meaning the HTTPS link, and I'll drop it in here as well. You guys can go to treblehealth.com/offer. And this will bring you to the specific page. So I just dropped it there in the chat. My recommendation is to pull that up on your computer so you can take a look and see exactly a review of what's covered in the special offer. If you wanted to reserve your spot tonight, now is the time to do it. It's only $300 and it's a refundable deposit. Again, this is everything that's covered. Treblehealth.com/offer. If you go onto your phone or if you go onto a new tab in your computer, then you can pull this up. You'll see the page that reviews everything and you'll see a spot to sign up. So as you can see here, it brings you to a screen that looks like this. And then you'll just scroll down here and you'll see the button. And if you click this button, you'll be able to sign up and reserve your spot for the special offer. Okay, so Dr. Ramsey and I are going to hang out here for about 20 minutes answering any questions you may have. And if you want to work with us, if you want to move forward, all you have to do is go to treblehealth.com/offer, but that is a new website page, and then you'll be able to sign up. And again, my name is Ben Thompson. I've really enjoyed being here and teaching all these concepts that I've learned over the years. I'm an audiologist. I'm the founder of Treble Health, this online telehealth practice. We're the leader in nationwide online tinnitus care, and it really matters a lot to us that you're here. So, Dr. Ramsey, if you have any specific things to bring up, now would be great. And otherwise, I do have a list of some of the questions that have come through that I can answer.
Why don't you go over your list? I did write some things down, but maybe we have some that coincide.
Okay, great. I'll ask you first, because I know that you're also working with patients every day and in these conversations a lot. What are for those who are considering working with us and taking advantage of this offer, what are the common questions that come up? What are the common questions that come up that patients have? Maybe that's logistical of, hey, how does this work? Or maybe that's more based on the science of, hey, what are we doing in the appointments? What are the common questions that you get?
How it works, what's the approach? We talked, you went over a lot of this tonight, but talking about, we want to treat the auditory cortex side. We're using sound therapy to do that, as well as the treating the emotional side of what's going on with the tinnitus, and that we use cognitive behavioral strategies, the wellness strategies, stress and anxiety reduction. We focus on sleep. So it's a very holistic approach.
Excellent.
Questions in terms of, is this, if it doesn't work out, what if this treatment doesn't work for me? Nothing's set in stone. It is a refundable option. There's, you're protected by consumer state laws for dispensing. So if it doesn't work out, it's nothing that you have to keep, and it is refundable. So it is worth always giving it a try.
Excellent. Okay, we have a question here coming in from Linda. Linda asks, what is the additional cost for hearing aids? You said it could add on. I have mild hearing loss from a hearing test 6 months ago. So Linda, essentially, if your hearing loss is a mild problem or not really a problem, then the tinnitus maskers at the current listing of the cost is what you need. So move forward with the deposit. And then when you speak to your audiologist, we can review the exact hearing test results and verify that before fully moving forward. If you are noticing trouble with hearing and wanted to get hearing aids for tinnitus, then still move forward with the deposit. And there is an option to upgrade to really high quality sound processing for hearing, meaning devices that can treat hearing loss and tinnitus. And that would be an option to upgrade that's not too expensive. So typically it's $500 to upgrade if you wanted a hearing loss and a tinnitus treatment solution, plus you get everything in the bundle. So if you have any follow-up questions, please let us know, but hopefully that answers your question. All right, so I have a question here, Dr. Ramsey. I'll answer it.
Okay.
The question is, God, I think I was logged out there for a second. You with me, Dr. Ramsey?
I'm here. Yep. I'm trying to answer question. Ben, if you can hear me, I have you frozen. Can you guys write in the chat if you can see or hear Ben? Oh, he's back.
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay. Yep. He's back. All right, good.
All right. A little technical issue. Thank you for your patience. So I did see a question that came in about how long does it take to work? You know, we addressed that a little bit earlier, but I'll just reemphasize that more than 2/3 of our patients show meaningful improvement in less than 90 days. And that success rate improves over time as we get to the 4-month, 6-month, 8-month mark. Typically, patients work with us in terms of the context of what's included in this bundle offer. Typically, patients work with us for about 2 or 3 months, and then are self-managing and checking in with us occasionally as they're working on improving tinnitus even more. So that answers that question. Here's a question: Do you accept insurance? So most insurance companies rarely cover tinnitus treatment. However, if yours does, then we will provide the documentation and the codes for you to submit for reimbursement for our services. So if you have any further questions, you can either sign up for the program at the link below. Also on this link, treblehealth.com/offer, you can sign up for a specific you can sign up for a free consultation with one of our doctors. In that free consultation, you'll be able to ask personalized questions at no cost. You can ask some follow-up questions that you may have. You can ask, hey, would this work for me? And then you would go ahead and potentially work with us should all of your questions be answered in a satisfactory manner. We'll go ahead and just show everyone here what this web page looks like. So give me a second as I pull this up on my screen. Just for everyone who's here, I just wanted to show you guys what we're talking about. So if we go to treblehealth.com/offer, it will bring us to the page which shows everything that we talked about tonight. And that includes the tinnitus maskers, that includes the sound machine, that includes the sleep headband. You would go on your computer or your phone, you would pull this up. You can see that this special offer of $800 off ends tonight. And then if you want to read more details about what's included, you can go down here. But really, for the purpose of this conversation, there's 2 options. Number 1 is to actually reserve your spot. So going ahead and clicking the reserve now for 300 button. This is where you can proceed to checkout, put in your information, and then you would schedule your free call you would schedule after this the welcome call with your audiologist, where we confirm your details and everything else after this. The other option for you here tonight is if you click this button, you would go to a page where you can schedule a free one-on-one consultation with an audiologist on our team, where we'd be able to review the details of what's covered, answer any of your specific questions. You can see there's openings tomorrow pretty much all day where you can speak with someone on our team, as well as on Friday. That would be another option if you weren't quite ready tonight, but had further questions and wanted to take advantage of that additional offer. So I'm going to include this specific link here in the chat so we all have this, but essentially if you go to the treblehealth.com/offer, you'll be able to review what's covered and then either decide to move forward for a $300 deposit, or that's fully refundable, or click the schedule a free consultation button. And then you'll speak with maybe Ramsey, maybe myself, maybe another team member tomorrow or the next day. Okay, so let's see if there's any other questions that have come in. Okay, I have one question of, will my tinnitus go away on its own? There is some element of natural improvement that can happen with tinnitus, and we want to do everything we can to actually make that process faster, accelerated. We call this induced habituation. So there is some level of natural habituation, and that means tinnitus can show signs of improvement on its own. But to have excellent results and the best results, the most effective treatment, we find that the induced habituation is better. That means working with a specialist. Everything that's included in our program is inducing habituation, getting to that stage 4 of tinnitus relief as quickly as possible. Okay, so as we can see here on the screen, we have the treble tinnitus maskers valued typically at $28.50 on their own. But with this entire bundle and all the bonuses, the total cost here is $26.50. So quite a significant savings. But we have a question that this seems to be too expensive, or this seems to be rather expensive. I'm not sure. It's true that the whole treatment here is expensive. There's no denying that, but for what our patients get, we believe that the value far exceeds the cost. You can buy herbal supplements. You could buy some alternative program. You could try acupuncture. You could buy just hearing aids from a local clinic. But from what we've seen and from what we've received in terms of feedback from our patients, you won't get results for as good as what our bundle here tonight can provide. So just keep that in mind. No pressure, right? There's no rush here, but the treatment that we're offering, we feel like is the best for a vast majority of patients who need it. Dr. Ramsey and myself are here to help. So if you guys have any specific questions, please ask. And we'll be here as the sale is live for the next 12 and a half minutes until the clock hits 0. I wanted to ask if you were ever quoted a cost for hearing aids or tinnitus maskers, maybe from a local clinic or from an ENT doctor. What is the cost of that treatment? What is the cost of those tinnitus maskers or those hearing aids? I'm going to share the results here in just a second. Okay, so there were 4 of us that participated, and there are at least 4 of us who have been offered hearing aids or tinnitus maskers before, and we can see that the cost there varies between $3,000 and $7,000 for that treatment. Well, we're offering industry-leading devices, tinnitus maskers with the option of hearing aids for tinnitus here. We're offering this for less than $3,000 plus these amazing 6 bonuses. And I felt that was important to just bring back into the conversation if you're on the fence or if you're considering your options right now. Okay, guys. So in the chat, I did want to mention that I did say that I would put that link. So right here, you can see the link to schedule a free consultation. If you guys click that link that I just posted in the chat, that's the direct link where you can schedule the free consultation. If you're on the fence, still have more personalized questions, you can head there, and an audiologist from our team will be able to help you. And if you sign up for that free call and you still want to claim the offer, the discount, then we're going to honor that, of course. So we want to make sure that's still available for you, should you be interested.
Sorry, didn't realize I was muted. Ben, a question came in from Paul just now. Is there ever a time where it's been too long?
So if you've had tinnitus for 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, and it's bothered you, and maybe it hasn't changed much in a while, we've had cases that have worked with us that have a similar history. And no, it's not too long to try something. I mean, that's absolutely the truth. Especially if you haven't tried the treatment like this before, then I recommend you give it a try. If you're looking for something you can do, this is what you can do. This is what is recommended from a scientific sense. If you've had tinnitus for a number of years and it hasn't changed much, then we're looking at a slower rate of change, a slower rate of improvement. So then we want to zoom out into more of a 6 to 18 month time window of expectations. And there's no guarantee, like I said at the very beginning, disclaimer, there's not 100% guarantee that this will work. But within the first 45 days, we typically see enough signs to know, hey, should you continue on with this treatment? So that's why we like to say this is a risk-free opportunity to try tinnitus treatment. And hopefully that helps. And great question. Dr. Ramsey, I'm going to pass it to you just briefly. If you could share your story with tinnitus treatment.
I think for me, because I had gone through tinnitus as an audiologist, so I've been dispensing been a dispensing audiologist for 20 years and developed tinnitus in the middle of my career. And honestly, for me, the sound therapy, I think, was what I found the most relieving. It was really challenging for me to focus, to attend, to see patients while I had this internal sound that was going on that was so bothersome. So I think for me, the sound therapy was really key. I knew about CBT. I knew I needed to get my stress and anxiety under control. I knew what was going on emotionally with the connection that I had to the tinnitus. And so I knew that I needed to apply those strategies, and I was doing that. But I think, for me, the sound therapy was really, really an important tool. And I think that's why, I'm so pro for it, because it was just so helpful to me.
Yeah.
And my tinnitus was sort of a watershed of events. I had a somatosensory component. So neck injury, TMJ, really kind of triggered with a stressful time in my world, and some high frequency hearing loss. So I had all these different generators going on, but was able to get it under control. And I don't know what I would have done without sound therapy, but that was my personal experience.
And you use the devices on the ears, right?
Yes, actually, I have the original ones. I'll just have one. And here's my original. It's like vintage at this point.
Hold up. Keep it on the screen there. I'm going to make it full screen. Yeah.
Wait, can you see? I've got the question and answer pulled up. So
I can
open. But that was
bring it back a little from the camera so it's not so close. Yeah, there you go. Awesome. So what is that?
So this is actually an FDA approved hearing aid, but used for the purpose of sound therapy. But it has a built-in sound generator, plus it's Bluetooth compatible. So I could pair it to my phone. I could stream sounds. Actually just did really well with what was built in. White noise was comforting to me.
And for those wondering, that is our tinnitus masker. That's what we call tinnitus maskers. The same thing that Ramsey used. Yeah.
So this is very, very similar, and also very similar to size and what we're dispensing these days. This is just an older version because I'm about 7 years habituated for my tinnitus. So this is about a 7-year-old device, but this is what they look like.
Can you put it on?
Put mine on. Yeah. And I apologize. I have been working all day, so I don't know what I look like here, but anyway, this is mine. And they're really tiny. They're really benign and not very intrusive, and very compatible with my glasses. And
It's very nice.
well, right now it's stuck on my hair because my hair is a disaster from working all day, but there
So
it is.
can you turn to the side so we can see how it looks actually in the ear?
Well, keeps, my hair is really tangled from being here, but can you see?
Yeah, definitely. So I can see that on the side of the ear, it's essentially invisible with just that thin wire. And
Mhm.
for those who are new,
And
they
you know
might
what
be
I,
wondering about these questions. We do have a question,
you know
a
what I was
live
going to
question, a live.
say?
We have Ramsey. We have a live question here that
Oh,
asks, "How do you function normally all day with maskers in your ears?" And tell us about your experience. Like how many
oh,
months, or
it's,
how many months did you do that? And was it easier to function? Was it harder? How'd you
yeah.
do it?
So, Mike, that's a great question. That was how I functioned because my tinnitus volume was really loud, especially and it's at its onset. So having that other sound source going and taking my mind away from the sound that was bothering me was actually how I got through them. So the maskers were like that was my resource to get through the day. Does that best answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. I think Mike's question here is, how do you function with those things in your ears?
Oh yeah, no,
Almost
that's the
implying,
brilliant. No, that's the best
yeah,
part. Yeah, no, okay, I get it.
almost.
So there,
He's almost implying that it seems
yeah,
hard. It seems hard to do it, but you're saying actually
no.
it
So
was
they're
helpful and easy.
right. So they're so small, they're so benign. I was able to go to work, go to car, go to dinners, come home, watch TV. It was just with me all the time. And they're so small. And the part that goes in your ear, it doesn't occlude your ear. You don't feel it. And so after some time, I wore mine for almost 15 months. And over time, it's just kind of like it's not there. You actually habituate to the feel of the maskers in your ear. But another thing I wanted to say, Ben, is that nowadays, because of wearables and we've got everybody's walking around with something in their ears. So a lot of times, there was some things that came up in the chat and a couple of things that came up in the question and answer about, you know, having these or being reminded of hearing aids. Think about all the people that are walking around with stuff in their ears. And a lot of my patients are choosing black so that it just kind of blends
Yeah.
in. It's like they're wearing a headset. And so
All right,
we don't really feel
I have some
uncomfortable.
clarification here from Paul and from Mike. The clarification is Mike wonders, how do you function with conversations? So you're putting these devices in your ears, but how do you hear people around you?
Right. So the sound therapy is at a level so soft. So you're never masking your tinnitus. So I was playing the sound and my patients were playing the sound really at a soft level. So it's just in the background and it doesn't interfere with conversation. It doesn't does not interfere with talking on the phone. These Zooms, for example, it's just a very low level sound that's happening in the background. So if anything, in my experience and what my patients tell me is their focus improves, their intention to who it is that they are talking to improves because they have this little thing going on in the back that's pulling their tinnitus over to the side, helping filter it out.
Yeah, really good point, and totally normal question to ask because when you stick something into your ear, you think, doesn't that make it harder to hear, like headphones or earplugs? But the way that these are designed is that they have these natural holes on the rubber tip that goes in your ear canals. It's what we call an open fitting or an open dome. And that means they're designed to hear everyone around you the same exact way as before. But on top of this, you have this low level soothing sound therapy that only you can hear. And that's the beauty of it.
And Linda just brought up a good point. Asking about like using the maskers for answering the phone or which you need to switch into the AirPods. The devices are Bluetooth compatible. So they're like a headset for your phone. So yes, you can answer your phone calls with the devices in your ears. And then once you've had your phone call, then you can get back to your sound therapy. So they can be used in that way.
Great. And Paul brought up a good question. Paul asked, do you wear the maskers during the day and at night? How many people use them at night when they're sleeping? or is that when you would use the noise machine? For most people, that's when you would use the noise machine. You would charge the device, you would charge the tinnitus maskers on your bedside table throughout the night. And then you would use the tinnitus maskers throughout the day. You would use either the sleep headband or the sound machine, or sometimes the sound pillow at night for the sound therapy. And occasionally some people do want to use the maskers when they're sleeping. There's nothing wrong with that. We just have to be mindful of when you're actually charging them, because the batteries need to be recharged. We also have a question of the expected life of the maskers. Is there a warranty? Great question. So the warranty period is for 2 years, meaning that in those 2 years, first of all, we want your tinnitus to be at a level by 2 years where you don't need to use them anymore on a daily basis. So that's really noteworthy. But the warranty is good for repairs as well as loss or damage for the devices for those 2 years. We can talk about more details when we speak to you in person, should you sign up. But essentially, it's a 2-year repair and loss and damage warranty. No extra costs if anything happens to them, your fault or not your fault, during those two years to work with us. And then the life expectancy of the maskers themselves, Dr. Ramsey just mentioned 6 years for the current ones you have. So typically it's typically it's about 5 years. That's pretty standard.
And really what happens is in 5 to 7 years, we don't know what happens with technology, and who knows what'll come out in terms of devices for sound therapy related to hearing aids.
Yeah. Well, we have a great group tonight. Everyone asked some really good questions.
I know, they kept me so busy. That was a lot of questions. Thank you. They were all really good. A lot of good things came through the Q&A and in the chat. Yeah.
And we have one individual that was engaging here, asking questions, that just signed up for the special offer. So I won't say your name, but you know who you are, and we're excited to connect with you very soon on a phone call or a video call to learn more about your history and confirm the full order and send the devices out to your home and get things started. So thank you. And Ramsey, this is probably a good time for us to wrap up our discussion. If anyone else wants to sign up for a free consultation, I'll drop the link in one more time into the chat. And then everyone, I just thank you for being here and wish you have a good night. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. If you have any questions, we'll get in there and answer them. And I'll want to give a big shout out to all the players behind the scene who made this possible on the team, Dr. Ramsey especially, and then some of our other Treble Health audiologists and support staff. So thanks everyone. And for those of you who are still here with us, you're awesome. Keep it up. There is hope for you. Try these strategies and let